Chapter 5. Lessons. Mounting. Mounting at a therapy barn is a different process. It takes special equipment and several people to perform the task correctly and safely. There are two ways to mount depending on the rider's needs: the block and the ramp. Mounting block. This is simply a platform with steps leading up to it. Before the rider approaches the block, the horse must be led to it. To do this, first a sidewalker stands parallel and about 2 feet away from the block, creating a human wall for the horse to stand inside. Then, the horse leader brings the horse in between the block and the sidewalker. The rider is then directed up the steps, and the instructor lifts the rider into the saddle. Once mounted, the group walks out of the block. A second sidewalker can then join if necessary, and the stirrups are adjusted to fit the rider correctly. The lesson begins once all riders are mounted. Mounting ramp. This consists of 2 parallel ramps that are significantly taller than the block. It's used for riders that are too big to lift up into the saddle. A sidewalker walks up one side of the ramp while the instructor helps the rider up the other side. The horse is then led in between the 2 ramps, and the instructor and sidewalker help the rider into the saddle. Warm-ups, trail patterns, trotting, 2-point, techniques, and games. Each lesson starts with warm-ups. The riders take laps around the arena while everyone is mounted. There are 1 to 4 riders per lesson. Then, the exercises begin. These are a variety of stretches designed to engage the rider's whole body. The rider is instructed to drop their reins and let their horse leader take full control while the exercises are performed. Here is a list of examples of stretches or exercises. Torso twists. Stretching arms forward to the horse's ears and backward to the horse's tail. Reaching the arms up, out, and down to their own toes. Steering exercises to sync the rider with their horse. After warm-ups, the lesson can go in a variety of directions. A common activity is to go through an obstacle course-like arrangement called a trail pattern, which can be set up differently each lesson. This helps the riders by practicing learned techniques and incorporating intellectual activities with physical activities. Some aspects of the trail pattern. Walking over ground poles, wooden poles set up in the arena. Weaving around cones or poles. Steering through a short maze. Turning in tight right angles as opposed to more gradual circular turns. Walking in figure eights or other patterns. Trotting is a favorite for many riders. Humans have 3 gaits: walk, jog, and run. Horses have 4 gaits: walk, trot, canter, and gallop. Riders remain at the walk and trot levels until they begin riding independently and can safely canter. The trot reinforces many skills learned by the riders, such as holding their heads straight up, using reins to steer, and hugging the horse with their legs. The trot also gives riders the opportunity to learn a new technique called posting. Posting is when the rider uses his or her legs to move up and down in the saddle along with the horse's motions. This strengthens the leg muscles and is easier on the horse's back, since the rider is no longer slamming down on the horse with each step. Posting at a trot engages the rider completely, physically and mentally, proving a useful tool for the rider's success. 2-point is a technique commonly used among able-bodied riders. To perform this technique, which is more like a position, the rider reaches forward to the horse's mane, leans his or her shoulders into the reach, and lifts his or her bottom out of the saddle with the knees remaining bent. It looks almost like the rider is leaning down to hug the horse's neck. This position is used by the rider when a horse is jumping. The purpose is to protect the horse's spine from receiving too much pressure. Therapy riders do not jump unless they are highly advanced. But the 2-point position is used in nearly every lesson because it works the leg muscles and forces the rider to concentrate harder. In most cases, it is incorporated into the trail patterns. For example, the riders are asked to 2-point while they walk over the ground poles. However the position is utilized, the riders are receiving the benefits of physical exertion and mental stimulation. Various techniques are taught over the course of a session, interspersed among lessons. Here is a list of some techniques. Holding the reins and steering properly. Cues to the horse, verbal and physical. For example, tapping the feet into the horse's belly tells the horse to walk. Positioning the body to sit straight and tall. Look in the direction the rider intends to go. The recognition of parts of the horse and other general horse knowledge. Many lessons, mostly those with young children, end with some sort of game. These fun activities incorporate riding skills and horse knowledge. Here is a list of some fun game ideas for equine therapy lessons. Musical horses, like musical chairs. Teaches steering, walking, and stopping. Red light, green light. Teaches walking and stopping. Missing animals. Scattered stuffed animals are retrieved and returned to the instructor. Teaches steering with intent. Trivia games. The rider answers questions about horses and/or riding in order to move toward the finish line. Stimulates intellect. Relay race. Riders carry an object to a barrel or bucket on the other side of the arena, then come back to tag in the next rider. Teaches teamwork and steering with intent. Dismounting. At the end of each lesson, the horse leaders line up the horses in the arena and the instructor dismounts all the riders. There are several methods used to dismount riders, but dismounting is always the responsibility of the instructor. The sidewalkers may assist in the dismount by helping a rider swing his or her legs over the horse. The horse leader maintains control over the horse during this process. Once on the ground, the rider can hold the end of the horse's lead rope and help lead the horse back to the saddle bay for untacking. Untacking, grooming, and feeding with riders. If the riders are able and willing, they are encouraged to untack their horses. This is the process of removing the saddle and equipment and putting it away in the tack room. The riders are also encouraged to brush their horses and interact with them on the ground. This develops their sense of responsibility and confidence. Horses love eating treats just as much as humans do, and some of their favorite treats are carrots. If riders bring carrots, they can offer them to their horses as a reward after untacking. However, riders must use a designated carrot feeder while feeding so their fingers are not accidentally bitten. The rider finishes and says goodbye to everyone, horse and human. The horse leader then delivers the horse to its proper place, whether that be a stall in the barn or into pasture. Review. There are two ways to mount riders, the mounting block and the mounting ramp. Each lesson consists of a variety of warm-up stretches, exercises, and games that strengthen riders and engage their whole body and mind. After dismounting, the riders are encouraged to help untack, groom, and feed their horses to learn responsibility and social interaction.